Lance Stroll is under fire, and this time it might be more than just a bad weekend. Following a turbulent showing in Barcelona, serious conversations are happening behind the scenes at Aston Martin. Could this be the moment where Lawrence Stroll, team owner and father, finally puts business before blood? And more importantly, was Barcelona the final straw for Aston Martin's ambitious 2026 plans, especially with high-stakes partners like Honda and Adrian Newey now in the picture? Let's not sugarcoat this. Lance Stroll's behavior is no longer just frustrating, it's becoming a liability. After failing to get out of Q2, Stroll visibly snapped. Reports suggest he threw a tantrum in the garage, furious at being over half a second slower than his teammate, Fernando Alonso, who went on to reach Q3 and secure his first points of the season. While footage hasn't surfaced, this wouldn't be the first time Lance has lost control behind the scenes. We saw similar behavior in 2023. Aggressive, destructive, and downright disrespectful to his own crew. This time, it gets even messier. Stroll underwent wrist surgery shortly after the outburst. Officially, the team says the injury and the incident are unrelated, but let's be honest, F1 fans aren't buying it. We all remember 2023, when Lance raced through legitimate pain from a bicycle crash. He was a warrior back then. So why sit out now? It smells like damage control and a convenient excuse to skip a weekend under intense pressure. If he misses his home Grand Prix in Canada, Aston Martin's reserve driver, Felipe Drugovich, is lined up to step in. The reigning F2 champion has already confirmed that if he's cleared to race, he'll choose F1 over his Le Mans duties.
I am Felipe Drugovich, 2022 Formula 2 champion and the first driver to join the Aston Martin's Young Driver program. I'm really pleased to join in Aston Martin F1 team. I think it will be a great step for me to join in the F1 paddock, and hopefully this team will help me to progress a lot in my next steps.
I drove an F1 car for the first time in my life. It felt amazing, just something really cool. We feel it in the neck a lot.
And imagine this, Drugovich scores points in his first outing. That's not just good PR. It's a full-blown crisis for Lance. Yes, Lance had been the only one scoring for Aston Martin up until Barcelona, but that doesn't excuse years of underperformance, inconsistent pace, and a growing sense of entitlement.
Lawrence Stroll finds himself off the road on the formation lap, and he has got himself into difficulty at turn number 4.
Okay, Lance, enter the pit lane when we come back.
Page.
Here, but this one's bizarre because he had stopped on the pavement. Lance tried to drive back onto the circuit through the gravel, and the car just got beached, it looks like.
Let's rewind for a moment. Lance Stroll entered Formula One in 2017 with Williams, backed by enormous funding from his father's business empire. He actually had a solid rookie season, 40 points, a shock podium in Baku, and people began to wonder if he might be the real deal. But everything changed when Lawrence bought Force India and transformed it into Racing Point. What should have been a launch pad became a safety net. Lance was placed in a protective bubble, free from the kind of pressure other drivers feel daily. He had job security no matter how he performed, and over time, that safety turned into complacency. Why improve when you're untouchable? Why adapt when you're insulated from consequences? Now, with Aston Martin's massive 2026 project in motion, Adrian Newey in talks, Honda joining as a power unit supplier, Enrico Cardile reportedly on board from Ferrari, the pressure to compete at the very top is enormous. These are not people who tolerate mediocrity. Newey doesn't design cars for drivers who can't extract performance. Honda doesn't partner with teams that don't take every component, including the drivers, seriously. And Aston Martin's new leadership circle wants podiums, titles, and long-term credibility. Lance Stroll jeopardizes that entire plan. His feedback in briefings is reportedly vague and inconsistent. His radio outbursts are volatile. His relationship with engineers has been rocky, especially after that infamous shove of his personal trainer following a nightmare qualifying session in Qatar last year. Even Alonso, the eternal warrior, seems to be distancing himself. And now, we're entering a new era. The 2026 regulations are expected to compress the field. Margins will be tighter, execution will be everything, and a driver lineup that doesn't function like a well-oiled machine is a liability. Aston Martin needs two drivers who can deliver, not just one aging legend carrying the load while the other smashes walls in frustration. Here's the bigger problem. Because Lawrence owns the team, Lance has never had to fear losing his seat. That's created a toxic culture where one half of the garage feels untouchable, even when underperforming. And the rest of the team knows it. You can't lead a race-winning operation with that dynamic. And Aston's partners know it too. Honda has already made it clear they want a say in future driver decisions. And you'd better believe they're paying close attention to Yuki Tsunoda and other drivers in their development pipeline. Even if Tsunoda hasn't blown the doors off at Red Bull, Honda protects its own. If they want him in green, Lawrence may not have a choice. And let's not forget the whispers around Max Verstappen. If Max were to make a shock exit from Red Bull, Aston Martin, with Honda and Newey, would be a logical landing spot. But Max won't team up with someone he can't rely on. Stroll might have had potential early on, but nepotism didn't nurture it, it stunted it. There's a very real possibility that the very thing meant to help him, his father's ownership, has robbed him of the urgency and pressure required to grow. And now, the future is murky. There are other series where Lance could compete. He's reportedly tested in rally. Aston Martin also runs a program in the World Endurance Championship. Maybe endurance racing suits him better. Maybe that's where he can thrive. But Formula One? This might not be his battlefield anymore. Publicly, Aston Martin insists that they're committed to their driver lineup. They praise Alonso, they praise Stroll, but everyone knows the real conversation is happening behind closed doors. No one wants to fire their son, but what do you do when your son is holding back a championship-caliber operation? That's the question Lawrence may have to answer soon. Because if Drugovich gets in that car and performs, even in one race, that's a problem that won't go away, and no amount of PR will be able to protect Lance if the numbers don't lie. This is about more than just one race. It's about legacy, it's about ambition, and it's about whether Aston Martin is serious about becoming more than a passion project for a billionaire father. So what do you think? Is Lance Stroll's F1 career nearing the end? Should Aston Martin cut ties before the 2026 reboot, or is there still time to turn things around? Let us know in the comments. And once you do, click on the video that just popped up on your screen to see how Red Bull is facing a crisis of its own, with its second driver's seat once again under fire. This isn't just the silly season. This is Formula One, where loyalty lasts only as long as your lap time justifies it.